Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the IMARC METS Arena Victorian Exploration Focus this afternoon from 4 till 5 p.m. My name's Paul Field and I'm the head of METS and sponsorship for IMARC. I'm delighted that we're back here again this year, even though it's online. We look forward to getting back into everyone to Melbourne for next year. But this year we've got some exciting stuff going on with the METS Arenas. And firstly, I'd like to thank the Victorian Government and Mining Plus for as a sponsor of these sessions. We've got some great speakers this afternoon around a couple of, an opportunity or a problem statement that we'll introduce you to. But first we're going to go to Melanie Phillips, who's a Senior Geologist of Minerals Information from the Geological Survey of Victoria. Over to you, Melanie.
Thanks, Paul. So good afternoon, everyone. And again, welcome to the METS Arena Victoria Exploration Focus here at IMARC Online 2020. My name is Melanie Phillips and I'm a Senior Geologist with the Geological Survey of Victoria, which is based in the Victorian Department of Jobs, Precincts and Regions. The Victorian Government is proud to be sponsoring this segment at IMARC Online, along with Mining Plus. So as I'm sure you all know, making the most of geoscience data is crucial in the resources sector. The Geological Survey is the state custodian of pre-competitive geoscience data. We have more than 250,000 records available through our online catalogue, available to everyone. My speciality at the Geological Survey is minerals information. I literally see the pulse of industry every day through the exploration reports, data sets, maps and models that we store and deliver for industry and public use. With recent mineral exploration expenditure at record levels in Victoria, we are seeing not only larger geoscience data sets being collected, but more diverse data sets as new exploration technologies are being employed. Coupled with GeoVic, our online spatial mapping and data delivery tool, the survey's information services are widely used by industry, with the most downloaded products being mineral exploration reports and their associated data. In addition, the Geological Survey manages a drill core library just 30 minutes from Melbourne CBD. At this facility, we store over 18,000 drill holes, representing approximately 1.5 million metres of drill core and cuttings. All of these drill holes are available to be inspected and analysed by industry and the public, providing a key resource to help advance the geoscience knowledge of Victoria. In today's METS Arena, our speakers will be discussing a real-world, timely problem that the industry is facing, but I will leave that to our next speaker to unveil the issue. As a big fan of geoscience data, I'm very keen to hear the different perspectives on the topic. I will now hand over to Wessley Edgar, Chief Geologist, Kirkland Lake Gold. Thanks.
Thank you, Melanie, and thank you to the IMARC conveners for having Kirkland represented here today to learn more about the METS sector and what they can do for us geologists. I guess the past half decade has seen a fundamental shift in the working activities and the information used by geologists to search for mine extensions and new discoveries. No longer are the standard steps or processes of mapping with your eyes and pencils, or soil sampling with a shovel and an auger, integrating wide or narrow scales of geophysics with the underlying subsurface drill logs enough. No longer are they enough for the modern mining and minerals industry. So sure, we've had 3D visualization products for decades now, mining software, and these have progressively been improved or refined to the present status of implicit models or on-the-fly block model making. But it's the sheer volume of new data types beyond those which can now be incorporated and generate really high quality targets that will offer the largest exploration benefits. They also are the highest exploration confidence challenges. So what do I mean by confidence challenges? Roy Woodall described really well the matter of confidence in exploration when he talked particularly about the team dynamic for success and the companies that had the trust between the manager and the explorer. And so, in this age of big data, do we, the explorers and managers, really trust our data is a question I ask. Can we be confident in its accuracy, its comparative levelling and processing, and even the fundamental and underlying geological principles when we use an AI algorithm? So is it fit for the highest quality targeting that we can use it for? And I guess if we look at underground face mapping historically, you know, it was a very low confidence data type, commonly dependent on the experience and the artistic skills of the mapping geologist or the field technicians at the face. And a perfect mine geology team would be trained and drilled within, you know, an inch of their lives, and still there'd be questionable maps, there'd be over-interpretation, missing faces, and even outright porkies justifying why the last round went to waste. So much confidence in the underground environment can be generated in the observations of visible gold in the face or stockpile grab samples. And I ask, if the human eye can discern the yellow metal at around about 0.5 millimetre grain size, are there other near optical methods that could do something similar for smaller grain size in that underground environment? So why do we also train geologists at university to use a compass when it's, you know, pretty much the last item included in the bag on the underground mapping run? In an era where we have north-seeking gyros that can tell me where I am 1,000 metres down a diamond hole, why can't I get a compass that doesn't have magnetic or ferrous interference? So maybe the challenge is just as much, you know, having a geology team wanting to use or wanting to spend their time on the new technology. And if it's functional for them, they'll use it. Invariably, they won't if there's a risk of a longer day, or worse, that, you know, the assays won't be returned in time for their morning meeting the next day. So as managers to these teams, do we really want those geologists spending all their time in the laborious data gathering stages? And is this where the new technologies and the METs today can possibly step in? So I did show previously, there was an image there that had the various innovation and technology types that are getting employed at the moment at Fosterville. Some of those will survive into the be superseded, no doubt, by new technologies that we might hear about today. At Kirkland, Fosterville is also undergoing some major research projects related to the lithogeochemical research. And when we have a look at what a geologist does there, sometimes they spend about 25% of their time doing the quality control scans and checks. So is there a way to automate that so that we can save them time and let them use the results rather than continually to be at that data gathering step? There's geoscience projects for Kirkland related to continuous XRF on diamond core. They're getting fed into things such as predictive machine learning, with the objective of assisting the loggers to reduce the unnecessary sampling for assay and to increase the actual logging contact time they have with the more important parts, the higher quality parts that relate to the ore body rather than the common hanging wall and footwall noise in any particular hole. So the geochem data, you know, in that instance at 7 millimetre core spacing can be really overwhelming. I mean, I know we got the cloud, but it introduces some other aspects of how we have to interact with our data and where we have to store it even. We really do want our geologists thinking about the decisions from this data that impact the resource model and, you know, the way the mine team go about mining it, rather than Googling the unusual mineral phases related to antimony or arsenic or the like, for example. So across the past couple of years, Kirkland's really had to ask itself, you know, what of all these new technologies, and there's a huge gambit of them, do we really want to, you know, investigate and utilise? So, you know, we brought together a group of studies, trials, I guess you'd say, internally abbreviated them to the next acronym, New Exploration Technologies, and there was a snapshot there on your screen previously that showed how that interacts with your ore body understanding, and you can't leave behind the communication. Can you get that knowledge and can you share it? You know, can it be disseminated amongst your geological group for best benefit? And that's from the guy at the face underground all the way through to the regional exploration geologist. So can big data sets generated from 3 or 4 different parts of your mine be organised and effectively shared amongst the different scales of exploration use? That mine geologist that just wants to know they're on the wireframe versus the exploration regional guy that wants to know they've got the right conceptual model. A lot of geoscience knowledge sharing comes with all these extra data types. Kirkland's building a new fit-for-purpose modern core logging facility. We never had to do much more than 3 rigs at a time, but now that it's, you know, in the sort of high teens, we need to make something that's purpose-built. So, you know, in an era where the modern exploration or geology manager sort of has shivers down their back, the idea of some sort of disruption to their busy geologist work time, and they're not so sure about the technological sort of yield that they might get from the new shift, you know, what should be in that Fosterville core shed other than just roller racks and some core cutting machines? And as far as technology and the adoption go, I mean, it's a topic dear to my heart, having an industrial designer father. You're damned if you're a company that sits still with all this new stuff going on and you're a late mover into it. But damned if you try every type of METS technique and technology out there and you're just swamped by massive data sets, which maybe only partly become used, or you can't see the vision to why that's going to integrate into a whole system for the modern geologist. So, you know, at Kirkland, we took the view that it is worth the risk to try something new, to understand, you know, you might have bought the beta system just so you know what the VHS one is, and be mindful of the fact that you're no longer training your people in the video system, which is silver tape or something, and you're left behind. So from that point of view, you know, the company has entered into a process of using photon assaying for gold, using the Christos Corp technology. We view that there's benefits in that beyond just the fact that it doesn't need the disposal or use of water and lead. It has a safety benefit of removing the risks to the fire assay staff, and you're replacing a gas energy source with an electric energy source, which is potentially more sustainable. So time will tell if that's a perfect method for the particular mine we've got. But we do know that if we can get small gains, even small gains in the turnaround time, the financial benefits to the operation in the business decisions based on those gold grades will be high. The Fosterville mine is a really good example of, you know, a geoscience data confidence issue whereby you've got that historical mine that was refractory, it was low profit margin, you know, it really didn't have the need and couldn't consider, you know, the risk of disruption to their geologists, the transformation of systems, new data types, or the software training. So for that period, it made sense, hard work, dedication, you know, and a focus on the successful BIOX technology was enough. You know, if it wasn't broken, don't fix it. But now as one of the world's highest gold grade and profitable gold mines with a more predictable and longer term future, there is the confidence to bring these new technologies in there and seek that operational efficiencies for the longer term. So at that point, you know, we're in a fast moving age of really increasing data volume types, and we need to have that increased confidence in the exploration geoscience data across all of the different realms that it includes, so that there is a target pipeline of high quality targets that are comparable. And the focus to realise the maximum value on that is to do with the accuracy of the data, without distracting, you know, from the daily geological fundamentals that inform our decision making, you know, on an hourly basis at times. So are there ways that we can supercharge our geologists to get to the future, you know, future of the minerals industry? And I'll leave it there and look forward to hearing from the METS sector about the various solutions that are likely to come forth to aid, you know, geologists in the pursuit of exploration discoveries and mining excellence in the future. Thank you.
Great, thanks Wes. Sorry, I was on mute too. That's going to be, again, the focus of the day. I'm just going to pass across now to Richard Buerger from Mining Plus, the team leader of Geology, for his thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Fantastic statement, Wes, and it's great to see the transition from of Fosterville from as you say, a low margin or low profit mine into one of the world's leaders. So, out of all the technologies that you're seeing that you're implementing, where do you see the fundamental shift in the mindset of a geologist from data collection to data user? How long do you think that will take, and where do you see that change in mindset coming from?
Yeah, good, Richard. It's almost a scale-dependent thing. I think it's nearly already there for the mine geologists that have to do daily things, and especially in the laser technologies we've got for face pickups. That technology already is taking a very average field technician, and so long as they can level the survey tool, they're providing something that gets shared, and that's really readily shared in the 3D environment. At the other scale is the regional exploration geologists need to have better exploration models, and we can't get away from the fundamentals of really needing to know what the academic genesis of these deposits are. You know, I don't know if the METS sector is the solution to that part. That's still got to be held in our own hands. But getting the multivariable data types and being able to overlay them will show us things that we can't imagine. And I guess that's the point of research. You don't know what you're going to get out of it. So for those guys that are trying to make the new discoveries rather than the extensions, it's potentially a bit more involved and complex, and we might have to take the beta tape set and go straight past the VHS one, you know, skip into something like CDs or USB sticks down the track.
Excellent. Thanks, Wes.
Thanks, Richard. Look, we've got 4 presentations now that are going to come back to us about the problem statement that Wes came up with. So we're starting off with Robbie Rowe, who's the Chief Operating Officer from SensOre. Over to you, Robbie.
Thanks, Paul. And hello everyone. Yeah, my name's Robbie Rowe, and I'd like to thank IMARC and Mining Plus for the opportunity today to present the progress at SensOre. And also thanks to Wes for introducing the topic, ensuring we get more value from data and considering what a future geoscientist might look like. At SensOre, we're applying an approach that will disrupt modern minerals exploration through an application of machine learning technology. We aim to be at the forefront and a leader in this emerging field and a rapidly evolving field. Developed over the last 80 years, conventional targeting, or modern exploration as most people call it, is a process of methodical area reduction. And unfortunately, this conventional workflow is biased in terms of the data we use and in the qualitative interpretive steps applied by geologists at each scale reduction step. As an industry, we've heard from Wes, we've been acquiring huge volumes of data, but many of us only use a fraction of the data we collect to its full potential. The application of specialized machine learning tools on a large multi-dimensional hypercubes removes this human bias in a quantitative, data-driven predictive approach. Our edge in applying machine learning through DPT is achieved by combining the technology with data. It's not a black box solution, rather a sophisticated augmented workflow, and it combines the best of the human brain using reasoned intelligence, critical thinking and decision making with the power of high-end computer-assisted statistics and machine learning algorithms. Using appropriate algorithms on clean, structured and curated data allows quantitative correlation of known endowment with many data layers. This is best thought of as machine augmented exploration. The discriminant functionality allows a focus on key economic predictive parameters of size, grade, depth to filter and prioritize targets using quantitative decision making. On the data side, many layers of geoscience data are acquired, cleaned and curated for structured ingestion by DPT. The current West Australian data cube is rapidly growing in terms of geographic size and new data layers. Currently, it contains 7.5 million data cells in 2,500 layers for about 24 billion data points. We're well advanced on planned expansion of the hypercube across Australia in 2021 through the addition of other data from state and territory geological surveys, along with Geoscience Australia and research organisations. Next slide, please. In summary, and with specific context to today's subject of maximising full value from data, the application of augmented machine approach can potentially result in high discrimination and prioritisation of targets, fewer targets to be drill tested, fewer drill holes, smaller exploration footprints in terms of land tenure, physical footprints and environmental footprints, lower discovery costs, and in turns, increased exploration performance and high return on investment. And lastly, in terms of what a future geologist might look like, it's an exciting time. The future geoscientist will be using quantitative data and in turn, quantitative knowledge to inform their decision making to discover the next generation of the world's future mines. Thanks very much.
Excellent stuff. Thanks, Robbie. We've had this presentation a number of times, and I love the stuff that you're doing, both in WA and throughout Australia. One of the key queries I've got is, how are you finding industry engagement with this new method of exploration targeting? I know that they're using it in Canada a fair bit, but how are you finding it in Australia?
Good. I mean, we've only been, we're working on this now for our 3rd year, mostly on Western Australia, but the engagement with potential clients is good. We've got a couple of major clients. I don't think that's a secret. The interest from other companies across the spectrum, from major companies all the way down to small companies and individual prospectors, is very good. They understand that the more data and the huge amount of data that we have available to us, and we're not using using it the way that we do in terms of getting it, cleaning it, critical step, and then being able to quantitatively look at all those data layers at the time and compare it with lots of different mines, mineral occurrences, and then go look for that signal somewhere else is fantastic. So people see it and they want to be involved in it.
Excellent. And you mentioned the cleaning of the data. Obviously, poor data quality in equals poor model out. How long does that process take, and what does that generally involve?
Lots of things. It's about cleaning and transforming data. So cleaning data is, it depends what data you're looking at. Geophysical data is good. Most of the QA/QC is done at acquisition. So it's really a function of leveling the data, which is not that hard. With geochemical data, it's really hard. Lots of different generations of geochem data, different types of samples, different analytical techniques. So getting the data, cleaning it for mistakes, and as an industry, we're not very good at reporting data without mistakes. But once the data is cleaned, then it's leveled. That can then be used in combination with geophysics and geology. Geology is harder because it requires you to transform mostly vector data into point data. Again, not that hard to do, but there's a level of cleaning that needs to happen in that process. So depending on what type of data you use, it's relatively hard or easy, but it does take time, and of course it does involve cost. But once you've got the data and it's in a clean format, you can do lots of really good things with it.
Excellent. Thanks, Robbie.
No problem.
Are there any other questions for Robbie before we pass on?
All right, that's pretty quick. Well done, guys. Second presentation is Stefan Vollgger, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Rock Mapper and Geodimensional. Sorry. Over to you, Stefan.
No worries. Thanks for that, Paul. My name is Stefan. I'm a structural geologist, and today I would like you to say goodbye to paper-based face maps and hello to Rock Mapper. So Rock Mapper is an app that gives you the flexibility of a traditional face map, but with all the advantages of a fully digital workflow. It is intuitive to use, easy to integrate into your company, and it can reduce face mapping turnaround times from hours to minutes. So what can you do with Rock Mapper? Instead of starting a face map on a blank piece of paper as you would traditionally do, you can capture a face photograph with the iPad's built-in camera and then directly map onto it. This workflow is not just easier and quicker and also more fun, but also more accurate than the traditional workflow. Next point, please. The photograph is then spatially registered directly within the app, which means all the data is fully georeferenced and can be directly used for 3D modeling. Next point, please. We also have a dedicated sampling tool within Rock Mapper, so you can draw channel samples or point samples directly onto the face photograph. And because the photograph is scaled, we automatically calculate the from-to depth of each of these intervals. You can also add any metadata to the samples, and we have something called handwriting recognition, which means you can actually handwrite into any text box in the app, and it will automatically be converted to written or typed text for you. Next point, please. Sometimes it can still be handy to actually have your mapping results on paper, and Rock Mapper gives you actually a mapping and sampling report summary for each face that has been mapped and stores it as a PDF for you. Next point, please. Last but not least, with a single press of a button, all data is transferred to your computer via the cloud and is available within seconds. So there is no post-processing needed. The data can be directly used for grade control purposes or for 3D geological modeling, for example. Next slide, please. So what's the value proposition of Rock Mapper? Rock Mapper provides you a streamlined and easy sampling and mapping workflow. It helps you to consistently collect high quality face data, which will allow you to make better informed decisions now and in the future. And this data quality and consistency are very crucial when it comes to AI or ML approaches, which have grown in popularity in the recent years. So my tip is the earlier you can get your data acquisition, data quality correct and in order, the better. Near real-time phase data is a very powerful feature because it drastically speeds up the decision-making process. You can only act on something that you actually know about. And with RockMapper, you will know about it within seconds and not after hours that you have collected the phase data. Next slide, please. We have some great future plans for RockMapper. So currently we are working on a dedicated tool for blanks, duplicates, and standards, as well as on a phase grade estimation feature right within the app. And next year, we'll also then implement wall specs mapping, geotechnical engineering tools such as scan lines, image segmentation using AI and ML, machine learning, and a fully 3D mapping approach, which allows you to generate a fully textured 3D mesh right at the blast phase. If you want to try RockMapper yourself, then just go onto the App Store and download the free demo version. And if you have any questions, then please go on our website, rockmapper.net, or send me an email, stefan@rockmapper.net. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. As an ex-mine geologist who spent many hours down there on a paper face map, I wish I had this sort of technology back in the day. Now, there are a number of digital mapping systems out there. What sets RockMapper apart from your competitors?
So there's a number of other systems, as you just mentioned, Richard. So one of them would be, for example, they are using laser scanners to actually do the phase mapping, but we are looking price-wise in a completely different ballpark there because the hardware, the equipment itself is just quite expensive. But I think what's the biggest difference in our case is that we are cloud enabled. So the data is available within seconds. You press the button and then it can be sent to 10, 15 computers at the same time. And it's also a very intuitive workflow, very easy approach on the tablet. It's not just you try to transform a desktop application and put it on a tablet computer. Our app has been optimized for touch input. So, and that's what it is. So it's very easy. So you just basically write as you would write on a piece of paper, and the app actually converts the text that you handwrite into normal written text for you right at the face, not just later in the office. Yeah. So it's just I think a very streamlined and sleek process, which gives you 95% of the data that you need. And for the other 5%, you will have to then, I don't know, buy a laser scanner for $200,000 to get the other 5%, but you get 95% with our app already. Yeah.
So. Oh, fantastic. And I'd see this sort of technology saving the underground mine geologist a significant amount of time on their data collection. You mentioned the geotech applications. Theoretically, could you use it for remote assessing of ground support requirements in underground openings such as prior to stoping or those sorts of things for both underground and open pit?
Yes, you can. So currently we have not really looked too much into surface usage like in open pits. It's mainly for underground usage. That's what RockMapper has been designed for, because it's hard to make an app that can do everything. So you have to focus on one field, I guess, to make that really working well and not try to make it work with everything, but not really well with everything. So, but yes, we had big requests from our clients when it comes to geotechnical features, yeah, and we will be working on them. And there will be also some AI ML supported features there, like rock fault detection and imagery, for example, yeah, or you could detect other breaks and structures in the imagery automatically while you're underground. So yeah, there's definitely more to come on the geotechnical engineering side.
Absolutely, and especially with geotechnical engineers being rare as hen's teeth, having access to multiple or to a person at multiple sites could save quite a significant amount of issues geotechnically later.
Definitely, yes, yeah.
Just checking for questions in the chat.
Yeah.
there was another question on geotechnical engineering. So how far away are the geotechnical aspects of your product?
So they will be first half next year. Yeah. The thing is, we want to push our software to do full 3D mapping. Yeah. And we are not using photogrammetry. We are using almost AR approach, augmented reality approach, to actually do that. Yeah. And that's why we actually use an iPad to do so, because that's the only device which has the sensor built in, which allows us to do these kind of things. Yeah. So that's coming all next year. So we are working hard on that, and it will be quite a game changer for the industry, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
exciting times.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Stefan. We'll move on. Our next presentation presenter is Craig Hamlyn, who's a technical manager from OREAS.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, thanks for the brief introduction too. I'm just going to launch straight in. Around 20 years ago, laboratories only had an AAS machine, and nowadays you'll see ICP machines that are able to do full ICP elemental scans up to 55 elements with the OES and MS finishes. So there's a lot more data that's currently available to the geologist. Wessley, I understand that you have different business units within Kirkland Lake, and you use a limited suite, some via accurate digestion for the near mine and resource definition, but you use more complete elemental suites by total methods such as forest digestion and XRF for your regional exploration and your research. And that obviously makes sense because you're trying to understand your lithologies, your halos, and comprehend the anomalies and the pathfinders. So you need more data. So now that I've set that analytical stage, I just want to ask, how do you conduct your QC over all these elements? Do you source multiple CRMs to manage all this? Oh, I don't think you do, because no one's got time for pouring through spreadsheets looking at concentrations for multiple elements. But obviously, if you don't undertake your QC, you could be chasing red herrings, cross-contamination, interferences, poor calibration, or gross error from the measurement process could be what you're seeing rather than a true anomaly. Or if you're using poor quality CRMs, you could have problems with heterogeneity and the certification, and you haven't got time to be investigating that. And synthetic CRMs might not be behaving the same as your field samples, so you can run into troubles there. So what's the best way to conduct QC over multiple elements? The answer is OREAS Super CRMs. This is a world first that enables the geologist to have confidence and accuracy in big chemical data. It supercharges efficiency and understanding, meaning the one CRM can have up to hundreds of certified elements by multiple analytical methods. So this could mean the discovery of new ore bodies at lower cost within shorter time frames. You're monitoring all these elements and knowing that you have accurate data. The concept of super serums required the development of a powerful LIMS database. We were able to leverage this database to create a really efficient website for finding the serums that you need. Because we know you have limited time when it comes to these things, and you don't want to be pouring through spreadsheets. So we created a search engine that allows you to quickly find the serums you're looking for, every certified values on our database. And this search engine allows you to filter by multiple elements, and it allows you to search by analytical method, plus heaps more, as you can see in those filters. This level of accessibility has never been seen before, so I welcome you all to jump online and find your serums. Thank you.
Excellent stuff, Craig. Thank you very much for that. Love OREAS's work. For those deposits that require development of a geometallurgical model, and they're after specific tailored CRMs, so it might be carbon, it might be arsenic. Are you in a position where you can work with those companies to develop those CRMs with them to help them with their ore bodies?
Absolutely, we do custom CRMs for clients all the time when they can't find anything off the shelf that's a good suitability for their matrix, and they know that it's refractory or has some issues. Especially in your metallurgical, those downstream processes, there's a lot to be gained by tightening up their processes and even the sale of concentrates if they're between buyer and seller. So we specialize and have proprietary methods for processing concentrates and eliminating any cross-contamination in the facility, clean rooms. That often it involves a different set of labs too, called umpire labs, and they employ classical methodologies. It's a lot more expensive, but you got a lot more accurate data. So it's sort of horses for courses. Yeah.
Excellent. We've got a question from the audience. Interesting to hear any thoughts on PXRF CRMs with so many explorers taking up this technology.
Yeah, we've made, I've got 8 themed by commodity kits that have about, I think the case can hold 20 CRMs roughly. And we've chosen the CRMs to cover different lithology types, like if you're in porphyry copper gold or if you're in nickel laterite. We're looking at getting away from the polyurethane film. It's only 4 microns, but it still attenuates the light elements. So we're trying to look at pressed pucks that are robust and do away with that. So it allows the libs to work as well as PXRF. So that should be more in development in 2021. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And with a lot of, with gold being an exceedingly hot topic at the moment, what sets OREAS and CRMs apart from your competitors? Gold being one of the most interesting ones from a sampling and contamination point of view.
Yes, we are the only ones that prove and quantify the homogeneity of every gold serum we produce. And we do this by sending 20 samples representative of the batch to Ansto in Lucas Heights, where 85 milligram charges are done. It's not really a charge, but it's neutron activation. Then we prove the homogeneity at that level, and then you can scale that to what the sampling error would be at a typical 30 gram fire assay charge weight, so that the user can be confident that the error they see in analytical data is all measurement error. It's not coming from the serum itself. So we have proprietary processes, no matter what the source is. If it's nuggety gold ore, it's not a problem for us. We can make a high quality CRM out of it.
Excellent. So you're removing one of the other potential error sources by actually quantifying it. Great stuff.
Yes, yep. Guaranteed homogeneity. Thank you. Yep.
Excellent.
Great, thanks, Craig. And our last and certainly not least presentation is Shay Wightwick, who's the principal database geologist from EarthSQL.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks to IMARC for having me along. I'll just launch in. So EarthSQL is a pretty new company. We've just been around for just under 2 years, and we're interested only in database management, mainly because there's plenty of other people around doing AI and machine learning, but we need to make sure that we get the data correct, as was mentioned by Wes and Robbie earlier on. So we've got a couple of products, and we also offer some consulting services. Our products are based in the cloud, where everything's scalable. So you can start with small database. As they grow, you can grow them bigger. And we're about automating the processes as much as possible. So we don't want geologists or some other person, DBA, wasting a lot of time doing things that can be automated, loading assays, producing exports, calculating intercepts, all those sorts of things. So the products that we've got a geological data system called Quest, and I've got a list of some of the modules that we have as part of that system. We have another system called Extend, which is to do with drilling performance and drilling financials. And these two systems can interact together so that you can cross-validate between them. And the other thing that we provide is a consulting service. So if you've already got a database system and you need changes made to it, or maybe you need someone to just look after it as a DBA, or maybe you have a junior DBA that you've brought in that you need to train up, we can help with all of those sorts of things. Yeah, if we could just go to the next slide. So one of the products that we have is called Power QC, and this is built on the Power BI, Microsoft's Power BI platform. And this comes as part of the Quest implementation, or we can put this onto an existing system. The idea of Power QC is that rather than having reams of or pages of PDFs of reports, you can get in here and you can apply your filters to your report, and you can get in and explore your data without having to produce a giant continuous report. So you can come here, pick your elements, pick your standards, pick your methods, and get in and explore your data, and it'll tell you when you've got passes, fails. And it's nice and flexible, and we can also have pre-configured reports as well, so that you can push a button and you basically get your monthly or quarterly report coming out. If we could just go on to the next slide, thanks. And with our Extend system, it's designed to save geologists time doing, your end of month reconciliations of your invoices. And it also gives you an overview of all of the rigs and performance parameters that are going on with all your drilling operations. And it's set up to take multiple rigs, multiple contractors. We also deploy this for drilling companies directly. So a drilling company might have lots of different rigs around the world working for all different clients, and they can do all their invoicing and performance safety out of all of that. So yeah, that's a quick summary of what EarthSQL are about.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Shay. So in my role with Mining Plus, I get exposed to a lot of junior explorers and mining companies who often say that they can't afford the luxury of the dedicated DBA. So how does EarthSQL try and bridge that gap for those companies who can't afford to hire someone like that?
Yeah, so our Quest system's designed as sort of a hybrid model where we can deploy it and we can take on all of the data management for that client, or if they have some in-house skill, they can take on part of it, or they can take on all of it. So we can allow certain users within our client's organisation to be able to do certain aspects. So it might be just doing their own querying of the database. Maybe there's some people that can do some cleaning of data. Other people will be allowed to update lookup tables and that sort of thing. And I guess the other thing is that if you've got another system, we can embed, or we can help you out with training up a DBA, or just embed one of our people on a short-term basis to help out doing that.
Excellent. And as with the underground mapping, I was geology manager. I wish I'd had something like an Extend system at the month-end accruals and invoicing period. Are there other benefits in that system for assessing contractor performance or your own rig's performance over time?
Yeah, well, you get a whole range of different statistics coming out of it. So it calculates all of your penetration rates. You can divide it up based on the driller or the machine. We could, if we had it integrated with Quest, you could have a look at how your drills are performing in different bits of the mine compared against what the geology logging is looking like. So because we're building it on Power BI, we're basically, it's as whatever you can imagine to come up with something that you want to extract from it, we can, in most cases, pull that sort of information out. And the reports evolve over time depending on what people want to extract from their data.
Excellent. And with portable XRF data or other non-geochemical data or hyperspectral data, is there a way of storing that or enhancing your system to store that data as well?
Yeah, so we store PXRF data. We take it direct from the file that comes out of your PXRF machine. And we've got a process that it doesn't matter what the formats of the files are, so we're not stuck with a file format. And we've been getting some hyperspectral data coming in, and we've got a process of storing that as well and exporting it out in useful ways. One of the exports that we produce is where we combine against the sample level all the different types of data. So you can have your lab chemistry, your PXRF, your hyperspectral and your geology logging all in one interval, ready to go into something like IOGAS or some other multivariate piece of software.
Excellent. I like that. Might chat with you after this.
Yep, no worries, Richard.
There's one potential sale made. Thanks, Shay. Look, we're going to go back to Wes for a bit of a summary, but first, for Wes himself, I've got a question from Richard Morrow, actually. Wes, how does the image analysis of the mining face reconcile to mill head grade?
It's an interesting question because I guess you're referring to the gold grade, and we still take face samples. So that's the data set that will be compared to and reconciled against the head grade. The face samples, the laser technology is actually improving the accuracy of our models and the timeliness of adjusting the fault geology as it is being drilled. So if you went to one of the morning mine meetings amongst the geology group, and it's all happening on Zoom at the moment, you can go in there and see yesterday's faces with all the geological annotation on them, and they're in real space relative to the mine plan. And they can bring up the model and show that, the fault has taken itself across to the left by 0.5 metre, and make an adjustment in a timely manner. That was something that, when I was a young geologist, was just a whole lot of pieces of paper passed around in a morning meeting. And if you got it right by the end of the week, the survey pickup showed you actually followed the ore body. So it's more the accuracy of mine control in that regard. Reconciliation is still required to have that sample taken, sent off to Bendigo, put into the assay lab, and the gold grades done a weighted average and across the month, see how the volume of rock that's moved to go on. There's probably a good space there for METS to get involved. That tonnage inventory and the grade tracking will get better and better as we can start to get systems that give us gold assays back within hours, and mine sites that are willing to put some of these technologies onto their premises rather than sending samples to laboratories. I do see the end of a commercial laboratory that's interstate. It shouldn't really happen in our modern era. Did that answer the question, Richard? Enough.
Great. Look, if there's any more questions, can you please write them down in the chat area now? And Wes, if you can give us a summary of what you've heard today and what tickled your fancy, I guess.
Yeah, look, the interesting one that I really needed to know about was the CRMs there from Craig. In particular, how we use the various XRF. And I do strongly distinguish the difference between portable XRF and continuous XRF. So the Mineralise and the TrueScan type of trailers that you can get and machines that are set up in a small building that actually take your core tray and gain that data need a different sense of QC. But I get the fact that with our own portable XRF, we're quite often using that to quantify the type of sulfides we might have inside a vein, or to confirm what an underground geologist thinks of the mineralisation in a wall rock. So we're inclined just to have a silica and a NIST standard. And I must admit that's all that's actually with our system. But I can see value in doing some more stuff with the ICP. And my future for geologists, or the vision there is that we don't actually just do the assaying for the gold and maybe the critical geomet elements up front. We also do it with respect to the research or the knowledge of the ore. It's a crying shame to put the core out in a storage yard and then try to find the labour to bring it back in to get the vector or to get the lithogeochemistry. It's kept Scott Halley employed for many years, but I'd rather the fact that it all happens at the single point of first data acquisition, maybe first and final. That'd be nice. Shay's stuff was interesting to me in as far as the power QC. I've worked in mine departments where you struggle with the monthly report, and usually the bit that really drives you nuts is doing the QC part. You might be able to get all the assay results tabulated up, and your figure might come out through some dashboard analytics or the like. But if you can get that done routinely, oh my God, then they are really worrying about what's in the face that day rather than doing 5 days worth of monthly report reconciliations. Stefan, I suspect that compared to other products, you've got a very affordable one, quite a pragmatic one. And I'd be interested to know how tablets would handle the underground environment. So maybe encourage you to do those trials that would show how the batteries survive in a hot and humid environment. Get that product development up front, and you'll get something really robust that I think, you know, you'll find, especially those with spendthrift budgets, will quite often want. Not everybody's got $250,000 to spend on a laser scanner such as Fosterville, unfortunately. Rob, you know, it's interesting, when I think about data, often in my career, I've drilled or sampled something so I know where the gold isn't. And it is a process of elimination. So I totally get the fact that we can't just continually spread ourselves out to screen an area so we know where it isn't and continually work back towards that, when there is so many other data forms and types that we can use to interlay, layer, and get that really refined target. So yeah, look, that's where I got to, Paul, with the METs that we heard from today. That was pretty good.
That's great. Thanks, Wes. Stefan, I have somebody on the line who's just has sent me a message asking to get in touch with you from a resources company. So that's a good start from here.
Awesome. Thank you.
I can't see any more questions. I can see a lot of people doing some side gigs here, just buying and selling by the look of it. So I think that just about covers it, unless Richard Morrow, you've got something towards the end, or Adele, if you've got a question. No.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm just blown away by the tech. I mean, you know, every year it just, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a novice and a layman on these things, but you guys out there, you're just fantastic. You know, every year it just goes up and up and up. And then I guess maybe Wes, you could I'll ask you a tricky question here, but you know, are we facing a situation where the guys who like to use the coloured pencils and may have grey hair like me are having trouble embracing something that can't be verified as much as good old-fashioned physical evidence? Are we at a level there where, you know, the older generation who, you know, probably their jobs depend on reconciliation and stuff like that, aren't quite willing to grasp the new tech and run with it? They prefer not so much coloured pencils, but anyway, you know what I mean.
No, I get your question, Richard, and it's a complicated answer, but in one point, I think no, and it's at different scales. So I think there are companies that are large, and it's more important how they market themselves with their community and environmental sensitivities. Let's go for Barrick, for instance. And then others that are more spendthrift, that have the younger generation in there. And I don't think it's your age necessarily that will close your mind to some of these technologies. It's just accepting the fact, like in mining, that there's a risk in adopting a certain technology, and there's the risk that you got the wrong one. But is it better to be in the game and know why you're wrong, and then make the right decisions on the right technology afterwards? And now it sounds like an expensive exercise, but I think there are those people that can embrace that risk, and they'll be drawn towards the companies that have that more entrepreneurial view towards it. And the others, they'll join a conservative company, and you know, they'll be mining large copper porphyry bodies or something. You know.
Very good answer, Wes. Yeah, no, it's a real credit to all the technical people here. What you're coming up with, and you know, you're just thinking so far outside the square. It's great to see, and I want to thank you for presenting today.
One of the amazing benefits that we've had is the resolution of core photographs. I think that, you know, in its own has been something that people could accept in the past, and we often go looking for the hard copy photo albums, you know, from historical mines. And if you can find them, in the past it was just, you know, a little bit of titillation to see what the core looked like, you know, what the textures were, because we knew that the photography was terrible. But in the modern era, we've got such good photography. And we should be able to get into the other parts of the spectrum. You know, we've only been concentrating on this part of our visual spectrum. We need to get other graphs and other forms that are the same core tray taken by other tools. So my absolute dream, I like the laser scanner, but I want the hyperspectral with it. I like the continuous XRF scanner, but I want to have some other, you know, magnetic sus with it. I want to have the other tools, and I don't want to just take, you know, the RGB, you know, multicolored photograph. I'd like to have those other things. And I know we can get that three-dimensional stuff. So we are getting structural measurements taken off core that's photographed, but I think that's where the revolution has started, with the fact that, you know, no longer does, once the tray, you know, is disposed of, you've only got that pork, you know, if you've now got something that can really go places over time.
I imagine it's not just, say you're a gold mine, you know, it's not just the gold. You might be looking for a spectral hit on it. It's some of these, you know, signature, you know, lead metals and, you know, stuff that's going to, you know, associated with higher gold grade that you're going to be looking for.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, even a portable XRF can discover something by accident, I dare say. You might be in the Northern Territory looking for gold, and you come upon some pegmatites, and suddenly you've got a uranium or a lithium mine. Who knows? Yeah,
Stefan, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to respond to what Wes mentioned earlier, testing our devices underground, and you know how they manage heat or dirt. So we are using iPad Pros, and there are several rugged cases for them available. So we have tested them. There's rugged and waterproof cases. You can fully submerge the tablet in water and it will still function fine. So we haven't had any issues so far. And our clients are using these tablets already in an underground environment. So that hasn't been an issue so far. So they can take quite a beating.
Yeah, we're heading to our first summer at Fosterville with a Mobilara system, which is a software package that does identification of vehicles and the like, and can communicate between supervisors and workers. And it's something we're working on right at the moment, yeah. Did you have a question, Rob?
Yeah, it was a comment more than anything else on the whole adoption of technology and data. I think there's a lot of focus on the mine environment and in what we do know, quantitatively what we know in the mine environment, which is generally within deposit scale. But as we go away from the mine environment, quantitatively we don't have the data, and quantitatively we don't have the knowledge as a consequence. And the problem there is that you don't actually know what data is important or not. You get asked this question all the time: what's the most important data, right? The problem is you actually need to get the data to generate the knowledge before you can answer the question what the most important data is. So this whole topic of front-end loading your quantitative knowledge for finding new deposits, rather than just small extensions of deposits or in the brownfield environment. If we're going to make a significant dent in greenfield discovery and find the new mines of the future that take over from Fosterville or take over from Cadia, then we're going to have to invest either as a company or as a community in developing not only getting hold of quantitative data, but also developing quantitative knowledge that allows us to know what data is most important for going forwards. And that's this whole topic about industrialization and going to industrial 4.0, right? It is a significant task, and to be quite honest, compared to a lot of other industries, we're laggards in that respect, and we need to catch up.
Do you think there's a role for the surveys of the various states and
I think they are involved. I think they've been listening for a while now, and they certainly took notice of Uncover. I know Cam Cairns is on the call now, and he's been, just like the other surveys, took a lot of notice of that, and then they're stepping up to the plate. So I think that they are delivering the data that we need going forwards.
Well, thanks everyone. We've just hit 5 o'clock, so we've done a great job and knocked it off right at the right time. Thanks again to the Victorian Government and Mining Plus for your ongoing sponsorship, which is greatly appreciated by us and by the further further industry. We do have another METS Arena tonight at 6 p.m, which is it's a Russian focus and the opportunities for METS and automation in Russia. So if anybody's interested, please come on again. But thank you for your time today and look forward to seeing you again during the week.
Great job.
Bye all.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Very much.